Hollywood Undead hat in der Zeit der Pandemie mehr oder weniger 2 Alben aufgenommen. Und das war einmal New Empire Volume 1 und New Empire Volume 2. Davon konnten sie das zweite noch gar nicht live spielen bisher. Ich hatte jetzt ein Interview mit Johnny durch Tears für euch und wir haben so ein bisschen darüber gesprochen, wie es ist, in der Zeit der Pandemie Musik aufzunehmen oder Musik zu machen, ob das überhaupt möglich ist oder nicht und wie es ist, in der Zeit daheim zu sitzen und auch die Bandmember gar nicht mehr zu sehen. Ihr könnt euch jetzt im Folgenden das Video ansehen und ich wünsche euch ganz viel Spaß dabei.
But that's actually my first question. Can you give us a brief insight into the current situation of the pandemic in America? So, is there?
Well, I mean, America, as most people know, are a series of states. So every state is completely different than other ones. So some states like New York or California were really strict, while other states like Florida or Tennessee or Montana weren't strict. So like Florida, I know, for instance, was only locked down for a month. They've been open since last summer, early last summer. So some treated it differently than others. So it's kind of varies from state to state to state, you know, what people's reactions and what happened. What's interesting, though, from the data that I've read is the states that have been open the longest, they have there's no higher fatality rate or infection rate than the ones that are still closed today. So it makes you wonder what the hell's going on. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, so you know, wherever you go in the States, it's all according to that state.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What about your state now?
Oh, we've been open since last June.
Nice.
Yeah, it only because I split my time between Tennessee and California. I live in both. So I came here right when it started because they don't lock you down or anything. And, you know, everything's been open since, last summer, everything. So that's what I was saying. I haven't really been locked in the house because we didn't really do that.
So you're not so crazy as some others.
I was crazy before COVID.
I know, but maybe not crazy at that point or something like that. So.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't make a difference to me because I'm already...
Yeah,
it's all gone, you know. So to me, this is normal.
Your normal personality.
Yeah, just fucking nuts.
So, what is your opinion about the situation? Can you live with that, or you want to change it now? So to get to a different place or something like that.
With the COVID situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have an opinion necessarily because I think the experts are all full of shit, and I'm not an expert, so I can't really make up my own mind. My honest opinion is I don't think anybody really knows what's going on, what the purpose of everything is at this point. I think there's a lot of it's pretty suspicious to me, but obviously it's a very real threat. My opinion is that no matter what we did, it was going to happen anyway. Like, I don't think there was a lot of preventative stuff people could have done. So, I mean, but like I said, you know, I barely graduated high school. So what do I know? But then the guys who are like, you know, experts in those fields, a lot of them sound like they don't know what the fuck is going on either. So I don't think anybody knows. That's what I think, because I don't think anybody actually knows what the hell to do. And they're too embarrassed to admit it because they've said, do this, do this, do this. So by the time they figure out they're wrong, they can't just go, oops, our mistake. So that's kind of my opinion alone. But I guess everybody can make up their own mind.
Yes, last December, you told me that you were already working on another album. So what is the current recording process now?
What's the recording process?
Yeah. So how do you do that?
We just go into the studio and write the songs like usual.
Okay. So no problems because of COVID or any mess?
No. I mean, once again, it depends where you record, but we're going to record out here where there's no rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no difference in the process against or in difference to the last album?
Well, I mean, as far as the writing process, it's always different because, you know, it's been like, but I mean, usually we just come up with some ideas and stuff that we like throughout the break that we've had. Especially this process has been a little different because normally after we release a record, we tour for quite a while, take a break, then go record, but we never really toured on the last album. So we've been writing more at home because we had a lot more free time. So we have a lot of stuff ready to track. And I know we're going into the studio this summer to get everything done. And hopefully around the end of the year, we'll have at least a new song out.
Okay, so you will release a new song and not the full album before you're going to have a tour or something like that?
No, I mean, by the time we tour, we're probably not touring. My guess is till like next January or February. So right around then is probably when we would come out with an album, but it's all still up in the air because we don't even have one song done yet. So who knows? Because sometimes sometimes we're quick, sometimes we're not. So it just depends how the whole writing process goes. But I would think that, yeah, we should have an album out early next year and have a song out by the end of this year would be my guess.
I mean, you're very fast. 2 albums in a pandemic.
Yeah. Well, we like to write music. I kind of it's my job, so I do it every day. So it's not like we wait till we're in the studio to write. We usually have songs going while we write on tour a lot too. We just go sit in the back of the bus and write music while we're driving or we have a break. So we usually we have at least some idea of what we want to do by the time we start.
Okay, yeah, you already talked about that in the live stream, you know. You talked about some songs and that how you create them and where you create them. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, every song is so different.
Yeah.
And every album has been different too, just because, you know, we're different. So everything, you know, the way we wrote our first record to the last record is we changed so much as people that I guess your creative process kind of changes as well.
Sure. So I would go ahead to the next question, as long as you understand me.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
That's good. So how do you manage to work creatively in the current time when everyone is actually experiencing the same thing? So what's your inspiration now?
I mean, I'm not one of those, I don't really look outward for inspiration. I've never been one of those people who write songs about like what's going on in the world, really. I've always kind of been more introspective and stuff going on with me or even other people's experiences. But, you know, we don't really write songs about politics or the world, what's happening on a day-to-day basis. So what happens on a day-to-day basis doesn't really matter to me. Well, it matters to me, but not musically.
Yeah.
Usually, you know, I like to write myself. I like to write songs about being a human being, not really what I do from day to day. And that's kind of one of the reasons, you know, I don't like to write like happy or upbeat music, because when I feel that way, I don't really feel like writing music. You know, if I'm happy, I'm usually outside doing something, staying busy, having a good time. It's usually when I'm down, you know, that I like to write. So at that point, you kind of introspect or look inside, and I like to ask myself questions, and the songs are kind of the answers to those questions, I guess. So what happens as far as like what's going on in the world or culture, I don't care about any of that when it comes to music. Sure. Or at all, really.
So, but you have inspiration now to write something? I mean, you said...
Yeah, I mean, I like to write every day. I mean, the way I see it, you know, the life experience and stuff, and the accumulation of all the experiences we have in life, and the experiences as you get closer to, you know, your demise, there's always questions being posed. I've found especially that as I get older, you tend to think about like mortality more. And I like to read a lot. So that gives me a lot of inspiration. If I read something that triggers a thought process or a shift in perspective of the way to look at life itself. So I don't really ever like run out of things to write about, because every day I'm kind of discovering new things about existential questions like who I am and what drives me, what drives other people. So to me, there's always a well of like music in everybody, but most people just don't really, they're always looking outward instead of inward. And so they don't really see that about themselves. That's my theory anyway.
That's a nice theory. I mean, you told me your part is it to write about the dark parts about something. So,
well, I think the dark part, those are the parts that aren't really discovered yet. Like, our reactions to things, what drives us as people, the ego, and we make a lot of excuses, I think, for behaviors and things. And I like to just go in there and like kind of try and figure out what drives me, really, not what I say drives me, what drives other people, not what they say drives them. What do people actually want? And all those things are, to me, the dark areas where because people typically don't really want to know the answer because they're afraid to find out they're an asshole. Because most of us are assholes. And we like to wrap everything up like a pretty present and show ourselves that way. But we all know underneath that things are different. So I just like to uncover those things as best I can with music and answer those questions, because that's just the stuff that I find interesting. It's kind of like a psychology behind what, like you said, what's going on in the outside world is only the surface. So underneath that, there's all these drives and urges and pushes and reasons why things happen the way they do. And so I'd rather write songs about the reason why than what you see on the surface,
Sure, I understand that. I mean, that makes Undead also very special.
I mean, I'd like to think so. We definitely have some really bad songs, but we got some good ones too. So, I mean, I would say we do a good job sometimes and a bad job in other times. I mean, if you write music and you write a lot of it, you're going to write shitty stuff. There's no way to always write good songs, So I look back on the music we've made and I'm like, ooh, some of it. And then some of it I'm like, hey, that's great. And we really added something to the world of music in that with that one. And then some of them like, damn, we really, we took something away from the world of music. We made it worse today. So you never know which day it's going to be.
Made it worse.
Yeah. One step forward, then two steps back.
Steps back, as always.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you just can't be proud of yourself. You find something that annoys you or that you don't like. So
yeah. I don't like anything.
You don't like anything.
No, I'm kidding. No, I think when you're done, like with what you do with your life, is kind of when you reflect on it, whether you're proud of it or, and it's good to stop and go, oh, that's cool that I did this or we did this or this is what's happening. But I think most people, you want to wrap it up and then kind of go, okay, was my life an addition to humanity or a subtraction or, so obviously you go out and kill people and go to prison, you've subtracted from humanity. Most people are typically just neutral. And then the goal always is to add and, so that way when it's all said and done, somebody's life was better because of you and your presence. And, so I guess I won't count anything until, it's all over and you go, okay, did I do a good job as a person in this life or whatever? Or I look at music the same way because we're still doing it. So I've never really stopped to look back on whether we've done what we think we were capable of, or, did we take shortcuts and things like that? So I just never really look at it until it's all over.
Sure. Yeah, it's better to look forward than backwards.
Yeah, I mean, I think the past is, you got to let it die, let it go. And then the future, you don't even know. It's not promised. So The best thing to do is just focus on, what we have to do today and stuff. And that's even with the COVID stuff, one of the ways I'm able to like stay sane Because obviously everything went topsy-turvy. All of a sudden my job is, I don't have a job anymore, or predominantly because we don't tour, and all the people who go see shows can't go to shows, but it's everywhere. It's everything. So the key to, I think, staying outside of your own head is just to stay present, because it doesn't matter how many yesterdays have happened. They're yesterday, and then tomorrow, who knows? So it keeps you in a positive mindset, I think, if you go, okay, well, I just have to deal with today. So let the past bury its dead, and the future, who the fuck knows? So if all you have to worry about is getting to bed tonight, getting through that time period, life becomes a little more easy,
That's true. And I wish I would have your mindset. It's really motivating, to be honest.
You just have to force it's not automatic, you know?
Sure. I know it's a lot of work to.
Well, thinking is like, it's just a habit.
Yeah.
And so I always try and catch myself if I start thinking negatively or, in a morose way. I always just go, no, and you get used to it. And then eventually it becomes a habit to kind of try and, be optimistic about things. But most people, I don't think, know that the way they think is only habitual. No one's like programmed. In fact, an interesting thing, a person is only born with two fears, and that's the fear of noise and the fear of falling, because they're meant to protect your body. Any other fear you have has been taught to you or developed. So when I look at it that way, and I start to realize that most of the things we're afraid of are in here, most of them will never come to pass. It gives you a kind of a freedom to move forward without so much worry. And, the worst thing that's going to happen is we're all going to die, and that's inevitable. So if that's the worst thing that can happen to you, well, then that's okay, because it's going to happen anyway, and you can move forward from there.
And you can change it. So, but
yeah, I mean, I probably will live forever.
Yes.
I'm immortal.
Definitely. I mean,
yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we never say hi to you on the grave or something like that, because you're just still alive.
Yeah, forever.
Sure. Like the whole band, or?
No, just me. They're all going to die.
Oh, just you. Okay. I understand. Why not? I mean, you're the only special person.
Yes. There you go. Now you're right, Sarah. You got it.
Thanks. I'm getting closer to your mindset. It's okay.
Now you understand.
Okay, so I would move on to the next question. I guess you can answer that really fast, but let's see. So, what are rehearsals like? So, how's the contact with the band members during the pandemic? I mean,
we all rehearse together. We all sleep in the same bed at night. We cuddle, so we're not worried about the social distancing, because I can't sleep unless I'm in bed with every one of them.
Yeah, sure.
I can't nap. I can't. It's just too hard. So we lay, in a row, holding each other like this, and then we all fall asleep. Then we get up, we go to rehearsal, we go back to bed, hold each other again. So that's kind of how we contact with each other.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe you.
Thank you.
Not.
No, it's normal. I mean, when you rehearse, we don't do anything different. Like, we're not like the stage where everybody's, 20 feet apart or anything like that. Nothing really. We didn't do anything all that different. I know, like, when we did the live stream, they had a lot of rules. Everybody had to have in between songs. We had to wear a mask, which didn't make any fucking sense, because you're standing there. Oh, Matt. Oh, okay. Now you're playing. Now, no mask. Yeah. So it's like, how does this fucking work? But once again, I'm not a medical expert, so I guess whoever made these rules, is a fucking moron. That's all that's the one thing I'm sure of.
Yeah, that's true. That doesn't make any sense. You're in one room and you're jumping around and singing. So
yeah, American football.
Yeah, of course.
So these guys, I didn't understand this. They're all on the sidelines. They have to wear the mask. When they go on the field, they're wrestling each other, spitting on each other, sweating on each other. Okay, it's over. They go back, and then it's like it doesn't make any goddamn sense to me.
No, there is no sense.
No, but you know what? I just don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Nobody, I guess nobody. We're just staying at home because we're fucking stupid. So.
Yeah, I was hoping you could tell me what's going on. Damn it.
Well, I understand biology, but I guess that's also a very big question for me. So I can answer that. So we thought about live streams, and you already had, or you have done 2 live streams. So how do you see the role and possible development of live streams?
Well, I hope they disappear once real shows come back. Because, it's been great for what it is, like to be able to because even for us, we hadn't played for so long together. So for us to be able to get together and actually play music was, it was a lot of fun for us. So I enjoyed that. And then, people sitting at home can watch something new, which is good. But I'm hoping that obviously when you could watch real live music, that live streams no longer, what would be the point in that? But then maybe, if you live someplace where it's hard to go to shows, it would be cool, but I wouldn't want to do them. I would rather just go play. There's no replacing like live music and feeling the even if you're watching on your computer and stuff, there's no replacing the subs and the pulse and all that stuff. So I can't wait to go back and see some shows and see some bands and stuff like that, just because it's such a big part of my life. So yeah, I'm hoping that once that happens, that live streams no longer are necessary.
But I guess they helped you through the time to get some money.
It was nice to get together and play. To get some what?
Get some money, because.
Oh, I got plenty of money. I'm not worried about that, sweetheart.
Okay, well then, that's not the problem.
I'm just kidding. No.
A rich man here.
No. I'm just playing. No. Obviously, everybody's got. Huh?
I have seen your car, so.
Oh yeah. No, that wasn't mine. That was a rental. I drive a Honda Civic. It was I think more than anything. Well, of course, people have to make a living and stuff, but for us, it was more just like once we realized how long this was going to go. That's what. Because at first I said no. I didn't want to do a live stream. For months, I said no. I was like, that's so stupid. But then eventually when you're like, I remember when they told us, well, we're not even going to tour in 2021. That was when I said, okay, because we'd already been off tour for like 10 months or whatever it was in December. And then it was another year. So I was like, okay, this is getting fucking stupid. So yeah, then I was like, okay, let's do a live stream. Before that, because I didn't know it was going to be so long, I just thought it was stupid. But in the end, it's important because you got to connect with the fans again. I think it's good for us just to get together and play and maintain that kind of connection. And then for people, obviously, it's nice to be able to feel normal even for a couple hours, I guess.
Yeah, especially the last one. I don't know, but that was really, it was so interesting to get background information about some songs.
Oh yeah, that was actually pretty fun because we've never actually. So I had to think to come up to remember, because some of those songs we wrote 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, sure.
So it was pretty fun. That part was actually my favorite part because to sit back and reminisce and think about why we wrote stuff and what was the inspiration behind it and stuff. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I could hear that from you. You were very lively and yeah. So
I'm a very lively person.
Yeah. What's on your shirt? I just read German.
Berlin. It's a Berlin sweater.
Oh, that's okay. That's nice.
Yeah, I got this. This is like what I wear every day if I'm inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my house sweater. This is what when I sleep or anything, because it's very comfortable. I got this, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. There's like holes in the back and stuff now. So I need a new one. But I've had it for a long time. It smells very bad. I've never washed it in 6 years.
Never. You're kidding.
Never.
You're kidding.
Yeah, I'm kidding. But I don't wash it a lot. It smells.
That's okay, but I know you're kidding me, so. You never would do that.
Mm-mm.
And I guess your wife would be crazy or going crazy because
she smells worse than my sweater.
Okay, well then that's
we don't care.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Okay, then we come to the last big topic, and that's the promotion of your album. So, what are the differences between releasing a record with and without a tour promotion?
You mean the release of the last album we put out?
In general, so like you had an album with a tour and an album without, like one of this.
Yeah, that's true, because we didn't tour at all on these 2 records except for very briefly a few weeks. Well, obviously your album's not going to do as well because, touring, a big part of that is interviews and radio and all those things. But I mean, I wasn't upset or anything. I thought the record did, we were happy with the outcome. But, it's definitely different because we didn't really get to play a lot of the stuff live, like the volume 2. We only played some of that stuff live during the live stream. So to be able to play that was fun. But yeah, I mean, it's different. It's not done normally. So it didn't make any big difference to me. But I think, one of the things is when a band I like comes out with music, there are songs I listen to and I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to see that live or hear that live. So it kind of took away from that whole aspect. And then by the time we tour again, we'll have a different album. So a lot of those songs will probably never be played. So it's interesting. And I hope that we don't have to do it again.
Yeah, I hope so. Or everybody hopes that. So
I think we'll be all right. I do.
Yeah. So you really think that some of the songs will never be played? That's really sad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably not. Someone asked me my favorite song off the 2nd volume, and I didn't even remember what was on it, because the way you remember is you play it.
Of course.
And I was like, I had to think for a long time. And that, yeah, like you remember it because you play it, you put it into action, I guess. And so with the fact that we didn't do that, it's weird. I mean, a lot of like hip hop guys don't really tour much. So they just keep putting out music. So that's kind of what I felt like. It was like more of like a hip hop record where you just put it out on to the next thing. So this next cycle will obviously be different, but yeah, it didn't bother me that much. I mean, obviously you like to play the new stuff live, and I love talking to the fans and hearing what they think about the album. And, you miss those things. I miss the connection and stuff, because one of my favorite things after we play is to go, hang out with the locals by the bus and just talk. And a lot of people, have been listening to our music for a long time. You get to know those people. You've seen them many times. And yeah, it's kind of sad in a way, but hopefully all that changes soon. That's all I can say.
So you really need the reaction from the fans to see how.
Yeah, I mean, I just like to hear what people think, like, because I have my own thoughts, but I'm very inside the box because we're working on it all the time. So to hear someone's thoughts, especially like when, in comparison to other records or other songs, how they feel about it is, it's very interesting to me. Even if I don't like what they have to say, at least, getting to know like how it affects people is a big part of why people write music. And so you're missing that connection of, you create something from yourself, and unless someone, hears it and responds to it, it's almost like talking to someone, but they're not listening kind of thing. So yeah, you miss that part of it, you know?
So do you read some comments on social media?
No, because I don't do that. Okay. Social media is, I can't stand it. I mean, I look at it, but there's no replacing an actual conversation, because sometimes people think one thing too, and you tell them something and then they think a different thing, and it's a conversation as opposed to, I like this, I don't like this. It's like, it's not a two-way, you know, you can't replace real life and real conversation and human contact with social media. So to be honest, I don't pay that much attention to the social media, because it's not a real way to talk from one person to another.
Yeah. So who of the band is in charge for social media, or is anyone in charge for social media? Is anyone interested in that?
I'll tell you this, the only thing I know is it's not me.
Yeah.
Who does it? I have no clue.
Okay, good. I mean, I see you really don't like social media, and that's totally fine.
Well, I mean, I think people use it too much to take the place of real life.
Yeah.
You know, and people spend a lot of time on there when they're missing out on everything else. So, and I know that social media has a lot of addictive qualities. So one of the reasons I don't like to use it too much is because I don't want to end up sitting there for like 2 hours wasting my life on, scrolling and looking at a bunch of shit that I don't care about. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not a big social media guy. I know that's how kind of the world works and stuff now. On my other account, my solo music account, I talk to fans a lot, but that's because it's a small group. I don't have to, like, you know what I mean? So in a lot of them, I know who they are and stuff. So it's a little more personal, but in the Hollywood Undead world, it's just so many people, and, you know, it's just too much for me.
Yeah, but that's totally understandable. And I guess I would do that the same way, because as you said, it's a smaller group, and you can, you know, you maybe know who who you're writing to.
No, a lot of the people I do, because they've been, you know, they're like a lot of them are fans of Hollywood Undead, and a lot of them are the people that I talk to outside of the band, you know, because I DM and talk to people that I've met through our band, like fans, and that I grow close to in other ways that become friends. And so a lot of them I talk to anyway. And, you know, how are you doing casually? How's life and all that. So it's a little more personal than, it's not too much to handle, where it's like, just, you know, I don't want to just talk to strangers on the internet.
Sure. That's a little bit strange, you know, talking to some strangers on the internet and don't know if they're real, if they're fake, who they are, if they like you or not. Yeah,
and it's not very personal, you know, if you're the band itself. I know some of the guys love it, the social media stuff. But my personal preference is I'd much rather just talk to someone in person when I have the chance than, you know, that's my way of doing things anyway.
So do you have something else in your opinion, do you see something that has changed during the pandemic? So is your band the same band as before?
Yeah, I mean, it's not over yet, so no one can really, once everybody says, okay, who knows, is life even going to go completely back to normal? I don't know. No one really knows. But yeah, I mean, we're going to carry on. I mean, I think it's important during times like this for people to address their deficiencies. So, you know, I think COVID, this whole scenario is a good time to connect with people that maybe you because you're so focused on life that you lose those little connections. So I think COVID is a perfect reason, you know, whether it's with your family or your friends or your bandmates and my friends to grow closer together. So I'm hoping that after all of this, everything we've learned and everything we go through, that people are realize more so that we're all kind of in this together. And no matter whether an ocean separates you or a culture or a country or whatever it is, that, there are things that happen in this world that affect everyone. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you always hope for the best, that people learn from this and go, okay, we're all one team. And, I hope for that for my band, for my friends, for my family, and then everyone, of course. So I hope that from this experience that everybody's grown and realized that the world doesn't revolve just around us, just them, and we grow a little closer and maybe we communicate a little better. And, there's usually some good that comes from every bad. So hopefully more good than bad comes from this in the end.
Hopefully. I hope you're right.
It's up to the individuals. It's up to how you take it.
Yeah. So my last question is, how big are your existential fears at the moment?
This is a weird time.
Yeah.
Unprecedented in many ways. And there's certainly things to be wary of, especially economically speaking, globally. No one really knows how much damage was done, economically speaking. And then obviously culturally speaking, individually speaking, a lot of people have suffered a lot. So I guess there's things that are certainly worth being worried about or concerned about, but human beings, I think, are much more resilient than people understand. And that's because this generation is spoiled. There's never really been any hardship. There's no big war that the young people have to go off and fight like there was in World War II or World War I and Vietnam, these big events that affected everyone. And I think this is the first kind of challenge in that sense. It's not comparative because most people just sat at home and ordered food. But, I think the younger, the millennial generation, I'm more curious how they respond to all of this because they've never really been challenged in any way. They're used to life being easy because they don't know what hard is yet. So that to me is the most important existential question, is how young people respond to this scenario. Because I don't think they've ever really been challenged in many ways, So that's probably to me what the most interesting aspect of what happens in the future. And hopefully people learn, like I said, from everything that's gone on, that life can be a lot worse than they think.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So I guess you will teach that your kids or something like that?
Yeah, there's only so much words or saying things can really teach anyone. You can tell people all day that life can be hard or life can be difficult. And I guess this is geared more towards Western society. But no matter what you tell them, that's a lot different than experiencing these things. So I think, this whole thing is kind of in a challenge that people are going to have to decide how to respond to, because once this is all over, then you have to go back and kind of pick up the pieces. And I just hope that everybody's up to the challenge of rebuild, because we're kind of kicking a can down the road until we have to clean everything up. And you just hope people are up for the challenge. And, especially young people, because they're here, we have to, lead into the future. And hopefully we do a good job of that.
You will make the best out of it.
The best what?
You will make the best out of it, or something like that.
Well, yeah, well, I think the biggest realization is, like I said, the world doesn't revolve around you. Your problems are not nearly as bad as you think they are.
Yeah.
Many, many people have it much, much worse in most cases. And, what people's problems are today, bad Wi-Fi connections, or Starbucks is too far away, and all these things that people think of as modern day issues aren't. And when you come face to face with an actual modern day issue, you hope that the response is beneficial.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say is that, where do we go from here? And we haven't figured that out yet. And that's what I'm genuinely curious about, because it's a big mess, and eventually it comes time to clean everything up. And I'm curious to see how everybody responds.
but actually now would be the time to clean up. And I mean, COVID is really, really strange and it's dangerous, or maybe it's dangerous. But as you said, there are other real problems, like you don't have any house to live or any food. And
there's what people have gone through. There's people going through it on a daily basis in the rest of the world. So I mean, that's why I said you're more towards Western society. I just listened to the life of a daily 20-year-old today, and you start to realize how easy life is when you hear the complaints that most people have. And it's true if you spend a few days going hungry or not having a place to live or those things. So like I said, it's a mental and spiritual challenge to now go, okay, well, now that I've seen that life can be a lot worse than I thought, how do I respond? And hopefully people learn from this whole thing and realize the world is a lot bigger than themselves and stop worrying about the things that absolutely they don't need to worry about. They won't affect them. A good rule of thumb that I read is something seems like a big deal, a good question to ask yourself is, will it be a big deal a year from now to you? And if it isn't, then it's not worth worrying about, And I think what we all get wrapped up in on a daily basis, including myself, this is all me as well and affects me as well. The stuff that I stress out about or I worry about, you kind of see when something like this happens, how tiny it is and how molecular it's just, it won't matter. So when you develop problems and things that are much bigger than yourself, it's good because it raises your responsibility level beyond just your day-to-day stuff. So, I asked myself, well, is this going to be important a year from now? And if it isn't, then I don't worry about it. And we have plenty to worry about that we should worry about. That these little issues shouldn't take up any of your time, I don't think.
Yeah, well, there's nothing to add from my side.
Well, no, yeah, and everybody has something to add, and I think take it as you will, but it's good to think about those things, Yeah. How am I going to change my life after this to I don't know, maybe, like I said, contribute more than I take away? Yeah. Because before, you start, everybody worries about money, materialistic goals and things like that. And I'm no different. And when things like this happen, you realize how silly it all is and how stupid it all is and how little it matters. So I guess that in the end is what I'm really hoping is that people get outside of themselves a little, including myself, and realize how small all these things when something big like COVID comes along, you realize how tiny all these little issues were. And hopefully you can keep that perspective as we move forward. That's what I would hope.
But if we can do this, that's the other thing, because I guess we're going back to normal after that. I guess there will be no change.
That's my fear, is that people just forget and just go back to, and that's what's important about perspective. And that's what's important about people who build their life from nothing, is they can always remember having nothing. So everything always has more meaning to them. It's really all about gratitude, I guess, and just being grateful for what you have. But most people don't stop to think about those things. So like I said, my hope is if people can change that perspective, then maybe the world will actually be a better place than it was before COVID. And all these people who lost their lives and their livelihood and their businesses and family and friends will have some good outcome, as opposed to just a bunch of people dying and us just acting the same way that we did prior.